Hey guys, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing okay. I'm going to read through the full article here. No, that's a lie. I'm going to read through part of the article. There is a link in the description. Going to give you a bit of a heads up. I'm going to express my opinion on the subject at some point in time during the course of this video. By the way, my opinion might be controversial. You may not like my opinion. It could be offensive to some. Not intentional, but gave it some thought, and yeah, just going to express myself. So maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. Either way, put a comment, comment, subscribe, all of that kind of thing. But let's take a look. Two women sue George Foreman for $25 million each, claiming that he sexually abused them when they were minors in the 1970s. So George Foreman, do you know who he is? I do. I'm a boxing fan, so I'm aware of this guy. George Foreman, he's now 73 years of age. He was world champion boxer of the world. And you may recall him from his fight with Muhammad Ali in 1974, the Rumble in the Jungle, which occurred in Zaire. Muhammad Ali won, George Foreman lost. But yeah, very famous leading boxer who retired aged 48, which is incredibly old for a boxer. He retired in 1997, and he had a second career hugely successfully. He became a marketing frontman, notably for the what are they called? I forget what they're called now. But the grills, that's it, the George Foreman grills. Everybody had a George Foreman grill back in, I guess, the early 2000s. Would that have been when? Literally everyone in the world had a George Foreman grill, or several of them. And then we all threw them away gradually over the course of time. And we forgot about them, but he made a stack load of money from that. The article tells us that George Foreman is estimated to be worth around $300 million. Is that relevant? Probably, yes. Probably, in my cynical point of view, yes. His net worth is hugely relevant. So let's go back to the headline. Two women are suing this person who has $300 million net worth, allegedly, suing him for sexually abusing them back in the 70s. Now, let me remind you, we are currently in the year 2022. So this is approximately 50 years ago, half a century ago. Okay? Now, as I said, my views might be a little bit controversial. They may be offensive to you, but I'm going to spit them out at this point. 50 years ago. Come on, ladies. Come on, ladies. Even if these allegations were true, it was 50 years ago. I mean, am I completely wrong for thinking what I'm about to verbalize with a bit of apprehension? Am I completely wrong in thinking, look, ladies, even if this is true, it was 50 years ago. Isn't it too late for this to be addressed? Shouldn't you just drop it, even if it is true, you know? Am I wrong for thinking that way? I'm not choosing to think that way. It's just what my brain is thinking. I don't have control over my thought processes entirely. But that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, I mean, like, does it really need to be a thing at this point in time? It was 50 years ago. The time has passed, in my mind. Am I a complete arsehole for that? I fear that I might be. I suspect that I might be missing the point entirely. If a crime was committed, if a heinous act of sexual abuse was committed, or indeed multiple acts of sexual abuse, then justice is justice, and it's better serve late than never. Perhaps that's the right attitude to take. But I don't know. For me, and maybe from a biased position, maybe from a misogynist position, perhaps, I don't know, probably not. But a biased position, I automatically respect this guy. I don't know too much about him, but I do follow boxing. I have for the last few years. You know, I grew up with an awareness of George Foreman and some level of admiration for him for having created or been the lead man for the George Foreman grill. You know, I recognize at the time that he had done something quite remarkable, that he had generated this new career for himself. He had developed a brand or a product or such, a range of products, which were massively popular worldwide. I mean, I respect success, and the guy was successful, and clearly he was successful in his boxing career too. Literally successful. He was world champ, and he continued until the age of 48. I remember, didn't he fight Tyson? Is that perhaps where I would have been introduced to him at my age, when he was fighting Tyson? I think I have that right. And I remember it just being remarkable of how old he was, being prepared to fight Mike Tyson. I might have that wrong. Probably do, to be honest. So I do have a bias there. I automatically, rightfully or wrongfully, respect this guy. I also respect this guy because he's an elder. You know, he's 73 years old. He's an old guy. I don't know. I just have this assumption that he's probably a nice guy. But what the F do I know? Probably nothing at all. I don't know him. Maybe he is a rampant sexual abuser, or indeed, maybe he was 50 years ago. Seemingly, that's what these two ladies are accusing him of. It's said here that George Foreman knew the girls when they were under the age of 10. Is that relevant? No, probably not. That's probably in the article just to scare us a little bit, you know. But they were the daughters of a couple of business associates or associates within the boxing world, seemingly. And he sexually, it's alleged rather, that he sexually abused one of the girls when she was 13 years of age, and 2 years later had sex with that girl, is what the allegations are. And the other girl was also sexually abused at the age of 15. Apparently, the sexual abuse continued for one of the girls until the girl was 16 years of age. So the two ladies initially started suing George Foreman for $12.5 million each. And at a certain point, they realized, you know what? Fuck it. Go for broke. Let's get him for $25 million each. And am I being facetious? Yes, I am. You know, it's my natural state of being. But I'm just kind of shocked and disgusted about the huge financial demands. You know, these people, these women are asking for money, huge amounts of money, $25 million each. I don't know. To me, it's just belittling of the whole situation. I don't like it. I find this distasteful. If we were to be rampant #MeToo supporters, then we would automatically believe the two women and assume that George Foreman is indeed a sexual abuser, potentially a rapist. If we were to be rampant #MeToo supporters, now I'm not a rampant #MeToo supporter. My feeling is that innocent until proven guilty. But I mean, come on, there's got to be some level of, there's got to be more than an accusation for me to strongly believe that this guy is guilty. I think it would be wrong of me to assume that he's guilty just because of the allegations, especially when the allegations are so long ago, and especially when the allegations are linked to such a monetary demand, $25 million each. So George Foreman completely denies the allegations. Here's a quote from George. "They are falsely claiming that I sexually abused them over 45 years ago in the 1970s. I adamantly and categorically deny these allegations. They are falsely claiming that I sexually abused them." Okay, that's just repeating it. "The pride I take in my reputation means as much to me as my sports accomplishments, and I will not be intimidated by baseless threats and lies. I don't pick fights, but I don't run away from them either." I feel sorry for him. Am I wrong? Am I an asshole? This is a guy who's been accused of sexually assaulting multiple women, 2 women, that's more than one, so multiple women, indeed multiple girls, I should say. Yet, I believe him, I believe him, or rather, I don't believe the women. The women ought to have come forward a long, long time ago. Okay, if we're to say, well, they were too young to come forward to the police, they were too scared at the age of 15, I can understand that. But they've gone through their 20s, they've gone through their 30s, they've gone through their 40s, they've gone through their 50s, up, until they've come forward. Why didn't they come forward before? If their stories were true, why didn't they come forward before? If their lives were hideously damaged, and perhaps my viewpoint here that I'm about to express, perhaps this part is also offensive, but if their lives were significantly damaged, why didn't they come forward before? Why does it have to be tied to a demand of $25 million each? Why such a ridiculously high amount? It just strikes me as a money grab. Theft, blackmail is what it strikes me as. And that's probably as much of this topic that I wish to go through. It does. The article mentions Bill Cosby. Do we know if Bill Cosby was guilty or not? Can't remember now. He was found guilty in a court of law. To me, well, I guess there was a lot more evidence against Bill Cosby. There was multiple women accused him, and there were details were provided through the media in regards to the attacks, quaaludes. These attacks in regards to George Foreman were not provided any details at all. We're not told where it happened, how it happened, etc., etc. We're given hardly any details, and perhaps that's why I'm failing to really give too much credit to these allegations, because there's such weak information being provided to us at this point in time. So I'm going to wrap things up here at this point. Have I been a complete arsehole here? Perhaps I have. Tell me in the comments. Perhaps I haven't. Perhaps I've been kind of balanced and sane and reasonable, which is something that I do occasionally try to be. But that's as much as I've got to say. Ultimately, I'd like to see justice served. If these ladies, when they were girls, if they do have evidence, witnesses, I don't know, whatever it is that they have, police records, then, I hope that they have the opportunity for such evidence to be examined. But I just get the feeling at this point in time it's too little, too late, and I think the situation ought to be dropped. In all likelihood, that's my take on it. Perhaps my mind will change at some point. More than welcome to hear your point of view. I'm going to wrap things up. Take care.